Hey guys, it's Chief Spedim, and we just finished Mastery Chat, and I'm here with the one, the only Jennifer Manley. She did a fantastic
Hello.
job tonight hosting Mastery Chat. Jen, thank you so much for an awesome chat. So how you feeling? How do you think it went?
I think it went really well. It was fast and furious, which other people have said after participating in Mastery Chat, but there were a lot of really awesome contributions and it was really hard to keep up. So,
That's a really common thing we hear. One of the nice things about Mastery Chats, though, is you can always go back, right?
that's right.
And you can look through the answers. You can still respond to people because it's forever on Twitter, even though they're testing out things that go away like really quick, I'm hearing. But at least for Mastery Chat, it's there. You can go back and you can look at all the awesome conversations and all the awesome knowledge that you helped bring to life tonight. Truly appreciate that. So, so the topic was sort of growing computers have to be, um, you know, this coding thing all the time, right? Can you kind of like expand on that a little bit for the people watching?
Yeah, so there's this misconception that computer science is just about coding. And in actuality, computer science is the study of problem solving. It's how we turn inputs into
Right.
outputs. And the skills that students develop through coding and through other unplugged computer science activities translate into any other field that they might be interested in going into. So I think that a lot of times when teachers are turned off by incorporating computer science into their classroom, it's because they think they have to have a computer and or enough computers for every student. They have to be able to code themselves. And so they actually miss out on a really great opportunity to teach a structured version of problem solving, which is basically, the underlying
Right.
concept behind computer science.
I absolutely love your kind of take on that, right? Any subject you teach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which also kind of opens up the idea of what computer science is. And I think once you open that up, it also goes into some of the equity that you talked about during the chat tonight, right? So like with this sort of pigeonholed view of what computer science is, we may be alienating students that might not like computers, or maybe certain subgroups that don't have the same access that others do. So talk a little bit about, and I just want to get your thoughts because I think you're awesome. Talk a little bit about your thoughts on how this definition of computer science can kind of open up the opportunity of what it can provide for learners, regardless of their demographic or subgroup, and just kind of increase the equity that students have in communicating with computer science.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are two things that consistently come up in the research when we're looking at what opens up increased recruitment and retention for both women and underrepresented groups within computer science. And neither of those things have to do with programming. So the first of them is creating what we call socioacademic peer groups. So we create a space where girls and minority students can belong, where they can learn and fail and grow and succeed with people like them. And then the second
Yeah.
one is being exposed to computer science before they get to college. So
Yeah.
the statistics tell us, or the research tells us, that anybody who takes a computer science class or is exposed to some form of computer science before they go to college is more likely to pursue it when they get to college. But that statistic is way amplified when we start looking at women and minority students. And so
Yeah.
I think that when we get into this box of computer science is just about coding, then we limit the amount of opportunities that students, especially students in underrepresented groups, students in lower socioeconomic stati, for lack of a better word, they don't necessarily have the same opportunities for those strict computer science classes. And so it really is up to other educators to bring in some of these opportunities into their
Right.
classes so that those students have access before they go to college, because we know that that opens up a lot of doors.
Yeah, so it really is about sort of access and opportunity, right? So the opportunity to I love what you talked about the research in terms of giving like these these convergent peer groups, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
so you can see yourself in other people and be more willing to fail in front of them, then
Right.
make you more willing to do that in the general classroom or when you go to college or when you get to higher levels. And I think giving access earlier is also always a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I love that idea of giving a safe space to fail. And I think that idea kind of transcends not just coding, but like all education, right? So like when students tend try their best and fail beautifully so that they can come out on the other side and be more willing to do that again in the future. I think that's absolutely fantastic. So if I'm a teacher and I'm sitting here in a social studies class or an ELA class, and I sat in on tonight's chat and I heard all these great things, what's one thing you would want to tell a teacher like that could be a first step? Like maybe they haven't even thought about computer science and how it could apply to their subject or their classroom. What would
Mm-hmm.
be a really good kind of first step or two that they could take because they were so inspired by your amazing chat tonight?
Well, I hope they were.
Yeah.
So I think the first step that everybody should take is they should join the Computer Science Teachers Organization. And so,
Yeah.
our association, sorry, but CSTA is an awesome organization. It is totally free to join. There's a plus membership, but everybody can join just the basic membership. And the cool thing about CSTA is that the membership isn't just trained traditional computer science teachers. There's a lot of elementary school teachers. There's a lot of science teachers who are looking to incorporate CS. And as soon as you join, you have access to all of these resources, and computer science educators are very giving in terms of, their resources. So I give away all of my resources for free. I will happily share them with everybody who wants them. The other thing they could do if they didn't want to join an organization is they can check out the hashtags CSK8 or CS for all. Both of those will link them to a wide variety of resources. And then one of the things that I brought up that's an easy to incorporate lesson that you could do tomorrow is this idea of algorithmic thinking. So an algorithm being a step-by-step way to solve a problem. It is the core foundation of computer science education and computer science in general. And it's something that applies to literally every subject. So for a history teacher, mapping out using flowcharts to map out the events that led up to a certain battle. Or as an English teacher, one of the examples that was brought up tonight was mapping out choose your own adventure stories using flowcharts and looking at it as an algorithm. Very easy to draw those connections. And I shared this earlier tonight. I have a political science degree. Like I was going to be a lawyer, and I went to a science and tech high school. I was like, I'm never going to do STEM ever again. And then I got to college and I realized that I missed STEM and that the classes that I was taking as electives, the computer science and math classes, were actually making me better at political science because they were teaching me how to form arguments. And so I think that there's this huge, like I said right earlier, that people are so intimidated by coding that they're missing the very basics. And the basics is this is about problem solving. How are we teaching students how to document and iterate upon problems, right? Until they're solved. So.
Yeah, sorry. I think you froze for just like half a second. Sorry. I think you're good.
No
now,
worries.
though.
Okay. Yeah, I see you.
No, but, I was just so like mesmerized by the awesome knowledge coming through the screen that I was. So yeah, you made a lot of really great points. One of the things I want to like highlight about that was the algorithmic thinking. So I think that's so universally applicable, right? No matter what you teach. And that's also going to help you get out of those like lower level DOKs into those higher levels of thinking so that your students can solve problems when they get to them. So like regardless of if you're trying to analyze a character from a text and find evidence, or if you're trying to say, what would have happened if this would have changed, like with like some of the flowchart things, giving students those opportunities to use algorithms. Such a great tool. I think that's an awesome tip. So thank you. So I don't want to keep you here all night. It's been late. Your fingers are probably tired. So I'm going to let you give sort of like the final word here. What would be your message to the educational world on your vision for how you'd like to see CS be used in classrooms, schools, and districts across the country or internationally? Like, what is your vision? And then what is something, I can do or anyone watching can do to step towards that vision? And then we'll kind of use that to wrap this up in a nice, pretty bow.
All right. So what I always like to tell people is that computer science gives students the opportunity to do work that matters now, not later. So computer science is a tool that allows students to create solutions to problems that they see right now. They don't have to wait until they have a degree. They can build something awesome. And that's something that they don't necessarily have access to in a lot of other classes. So computer science is a tool that gives students real world experience right now. And when it comes to CS education, the bottom line is that not every student has the opportunity to experience that, right? So not every school offers a computer science class. Not every school has a tech specialist. Right. And unlike a lot of other subjects, right, where every student has to take English, every student has to take history, they don't have to do that with computer science. And many of our less advantaged students and many of our underrepresented students are not getting access to computer science education before they go to college, which means we're taking away this entire career path for them, because the research tells us that they might not take it in college because they didn't take it before college. And so my vision for CS education is for other educators, knowing what we know about access to CS, to get a little uncomfortable, right? Your students are vulnerable with you for 8 hours a day, right? They show up and they are vulnerable all day, every day. And so as an educator, taking that chance and going outside of your comfort zone and trying something that maybe you're not great at right now, but giving your students that opportunity and that access to maybe experiment with something, I mean, that could be the thing that leads them to pursue it in the future, and it could change their whole life. And even if it doesn't, it's going to teach them problem-solving skills that they will use no matter what they end up pursuing.
I love it. It was absolutely fantastic. Like, worst case scenario, you give them skills they're going to use the rest of their life. Right. Best case scenario, you're going to change a kid's life. Like, those are two really good outcomes, I think.
And it takes very little. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's been proven by the conversation. I love your passion about this topic. You did an amazing job tonight for participating live tonight and doing a great job moderating the chat. I want you to have a good night, and we're going to sign off. So stay awesome, everyone, and have a great night.
Bye. Thanks.